Hey guys, how's it going and welcome to the channel. My name is Michael Frymus and today I'm going to be talking about the lenses that I recommend the most for the Sony a6500, the a6300, and the a6000 series. There are many different factors when it comes to buying a brand new lens. The first two are the price and the quality. We obviously don't want to be spending a lot of money, but we also don't want to sacrifice on the quality of our image. So we do have to get something that's really good quality, but we're not spending too much money on it. The third thing that we do want to be looking at is how fast is the lens? How wide does the aperture get? And how much light does it let in? The last thing we do want to consider is the size and weight. If we are going to be considering having multiple lenses, then we also do want to consider the weight factor, because the more lenses we have, the heavier our kit is going to be. The first lens that I do want to be talking about is the Sony 18-105. This is an amazing lens. It's an all-around lens, so you can go very wide to very telephoto. It's a great lens, but I don't have it with me to show because I did sell it a couple days ago. I had that lens for about half a year now and I used it all the time. I realized which focal lengths were the best for me, and eventually I did move over to prime lenses. You also have your built-in image stabilization within the lens. So if your camera doesn't have the in-body image stabilization like the a6500 does, then you can use this lens on the older versions like the a6300 and the a6000. Since this lens also has an internal zoom system, you can also use this lens on a gimbal. So if you do want to zoom in, it's not going to affect the balance of the actual camera. So it's going to make balancing the rig a lot easier and using it easier in the field. And by the way, if you are interested, there are affiliate links down below. So if you are interested in any of these lenses, use my links, and with that, I'm going to be able to get a small commission off of it, but you are not obviously obligated to buy anything. The other lens that I do want to be talking about is the Sony 10-18. This is a fantastic wide angle lens. It retails for about $950 Canadian or about $750 American. It is the lens that I use all the time for vlogging or when I'm using it on a gimbal, and it is actually really good for any interior shots when I'm using it for like real estate. So if I need to capture the entire image being as wide as possible, this lens is gonna be really, really good for that. It does have a little bit of a zoom range, so going from a 10 to an 18, so it is a little bit more flexible than a prime lens, which is really good because sometimes 10 is a little bit too wide, but 18 is a little bit too close. So being able to have that little flexibility makes it a perfect wide angle lens. The one con about this lens, well, it's also an f4, so it's not the fastest. It's the same thing like the 18-105, also being an f4, so it doesn't let in as much light as a prime lens would. Still great though, and I do highly recommend it. This is definitely the very first lens you should be getting with the a6000 series camera. The second lens that I do recommend going for, and probably one of my favorite lenses, the one that I have on my camera about 90% of the time, is the Sony 50mm. This is a very fast lens. It is a prime lens, so it is an f1.8. So with this, the aperture is going to be a lot bigger, which will allow you to get a lot more light into the camera. This lens is actually pretty cheap. It's only 350 Canadian or only 250 American dollars. And I use it a lot for all my B-roll segments because I can go very close onto my subject and the background is going to be very blurry. It's going to give me that very clean, creamy bokeh. It's going to be super nice where everything's out of focus. I also use this lens a lot for portraits. Although I don't shoot portraits quite often, this is definitely a really good lens to do that with, because the longer the lens that you use for portraits, the less distortion there is on the face. So this is actually the perfect focal length and the one that I do highly recommend using. So if you were only to get two lenses, those would be the two lenses I would highly recommend the most, the 10-18 and the 50mm. But if you are just starting out and you don't have the budget for both of those lenses, then stick with one lens, go with the 18-105 and see which focal length is the best for you. Experiment before moving on to any primes. Whenever I'm doing photography or filmmaking, I always have three lenses. So I did mention the two that I do recommend the most, but there is one more, and I can't really show you it because I'm using it right now. And that is the 24mm. It is also an f1.8. Since I want to hold something, I'm going to show you this 50 and pretend it's a 24 because it is the exact same size, the exact same weight, and yeah, everything about it is exactly the same. The only difference is price. Although the 50 is only $350, the 24mm 1.8 is actually 1,100 Canadian or about 850 American. So it is a lot more expensive. However, the reason I got this one specifically is because, like I mentioned before, I was using the zoom lens and I was using the 24mm and the 50mm the most often on all my shoots. There is, however, an alternative to the 24mm, such as the Sony 35 1.8. It is a lot cheaper, running around $550, so just a little bit more than half the price of the 24 1.8. But like I said, it depends on which focal length you want to be using. Both are really good lenses, but since I've been using the 24 the most, I decided to go with this one. The other thing that I do use the 24mm lens on is for gimbals. The 10 to 18 can be a great lens, but sometimes it's too wide for me. So in that case, I will throw on the 24mm. It's wide, but it is not too wide, so it's gonna give me really nice cinematic footage. And then use the 4 deciding factors that I mentioned in the beginning of this video: the price, the quality, the speed, and the size and weight of the lens to determine which one is best for you. So those are the lenses I use and the lenses I recommend specifically for the Sony a6000 series. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, it helps me a lot. Especially that I'm brand new to YouTube, anything helps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel below because every week I'm gonna be doing more content on gear, vlogs, and other filmmaking and photography tips. Thank you for watching, and I guess see you in the next one. Peace! Look at this. It just started raining. What perfect timing. So that would have ruined my audio. Luckily I got it just in time. But I love the sound of the rain. The sound of it is so calming, so soothing. I can just listen to it all day. Might not even get any editing done. What am I kidding? I should get back to work.